Well, for more on these developments in the Middle East, I'm joined in the studio now by the ABC's Global Affairs Editor Laura Tingle. Laura, this is a big day. Just spell out to us where we're at. Does this bring an official end to the war between the US and Iran, or are we a few days or weeks out from that?
Look, I think the pragmatic reality, Jenna, is that we're going to see a continuing fractures in this arrangement for some time to come. The sort of details we're seeing from Iran now raise more questions about this, particularly what's happening in Lebanon. The far right in Israel are not impressed by this. They're saying it's a strategic defeat, and there are some reports that Netanyahu has sort of suggested that he doesn't accept exactly what's happened. So that's really messy. There are also these questions about the freeing up of the Strait of Hormuz. The suggestions are that while Donald Trump is saying that he's authorised it, that sort of tells you how dubious it is since he has no control over it. It may be that there aren't any tolls on shipping, but it sounds like it's possible that he has conceded that it will be under Iranian control. Now, I think a lot of this stems from these last-minute attacks by Israel on Lebanon into the southern Beirut, which Donald Trump intervened on. The Iranians are saying that actually provoked Donald Trump to make last-minute concessions on unfreezing funds and the like. So still very unclear.
Yeah, so, I mean, somewhat shaky ground, as you say there, particularly in regards to Israel's actions in Lebanon. Also, Iran effectively wants a down payment here, I guess you'd call it. What do we know of that?
Well, the suggestion is that they want to get $24 billion of funds released, about half of that before negotiations even start, quote unquote. Now, we've still got to see a lot more about that because, as we all know, this is all very chaotic. But without a doubt, the dynamics of this sort of point of time are that Donald Trump was clearly desperate to get a deal done and has made a deal which, based on what he said, what the Iranians have said, what the Pakistanis have said, basically just takes us back to the pre-war status quo. Now, given that there seems to be a conflict about what's actually been agreed on once again, and the Iranians are basically saying the US has to lift the blockade immediately on the Strait of Hormuz, and there are 5 days until the deal is signed in Switzerland. Anything could really happen.
What do you make of the timing of all of this? Of course, we've got birthday celebrations going on.
We've got birthday celebrations. We've got cage fights in Washington. I think it really had reached a point where Donald Trump felt that he had to do a deal. But it is interesting nonetheless that the Iranians have finally done this. I think we're now moving into a new battlefront, if you like, which is basically the spin battlefront, and that's been going on all the time at the same time as the actual kinetic battle. But I think both sides are now sort of sensing an opportunity to maximise the atmospherics of what has happened. But the big problem remains that Benjamin Netanyahu has an election coming up in September or October, and basically so many forces, even the more conservative forces in Israel, want him to continue the fight.
So, Laura, I mean, you alluded to this a moment ago, but broader picture, what has the US achieved, or what has changed under this deal by the US going to war with Israel against Iran?
Well, it's not clear that they've achieved anything, Jenna. We haven't seen regime change. Iran has recommitted to not developing a nuclear weapon. Now, whether you believe that or not, that's what they previously said. It's interesting that there is no talk about a cap on enrichment, as far as we know, which is certainly something that Donald Trump has posited. And the Strait of Hormuz is something that was open beforehand. So, and in the meantime, the Iranian people are now sort of stuck with a regime that's, if anything, even more hardline than it was before. So it's not at all clear that Donald Trump has achieved anything by this really reckless war.